So, what makes you, well, you? It sounds like such a simple question, right? But the answer is honestly one of the most complex puzzles in all of science. In this explainer, we're going to dive into how psychologists actually build the theories that try to solve it.
I mean, we've all been there. Maybe you're staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. or looking in the mirror and that one massive question just hits you. Who am I, really?
It feels so personal, so philosophical. But for more than 100 years, science has been trying to get a handle on it too. So how do you take the mystery of you and turn it into something you can actually study scientifically? Well, let's break it down.
Okay, first things first, we've got to be clear on what we're even talking about. What's the real difference between a scientific personality theory and, just a personal philosophy or a good idea someone has about people? This is absolutely key. Philosophy, a lot of the time, is about how we should live. It's based on values. A scientific theory, on the other hand, tries to describe what is, based on actual evidence. Think about it. It's the difference between saying people ought to be more generous and asking what are the specific factors that cause a person to act generously. See the shift? But here's the cool part. A good theory isn't just a boring list of facts. It's this powerful mix. You start with the hard evidence, the data. But then you need a little bit of what's called controlled imaginative speculation to see the patterns, to connect the dots, and build a bigger picture that actually means something. So let's say we have a theory, this blend of evidence and smart guesswork. How in the world do we know if it's any good? Or if it's just, a wild shot in the dark? Well, it turns out psychologists have a kind of toolkit for figuring that out, for sorting the really solid theories from the flimsy ones. And this isn't just for academics in a lab. It's a question you can use to think critically about any claim you hear about why people do what they do. So, what's the first and maybe the most important tool in that toolkit? It's this idea, and it's a big one, falsifiability. It sounds kind of complicated, but the concept is actually pretty simple. For a theory to be scientific, there has to be a way to test it and potentially prove it wrong. If a theory is so vague that it can explain anything and everything you throw at it, well then it really doesn't explain anything at all. This is a fantastic example. Aristotle's idea made perfect sense, right? It felt like common sense. A feather falls slower than a rock. But because it was a specific, testable claim, someone could actually go out and test it and find out it was wrong. That is science in action. A good theory has to be brave enough to be proven wrong by reality. All right, next up in the toolkit, we have two partners in crime, reliability and validity. Think of it like a bathroom scale. If you step on it 5 times in a row and it says you weigh 500 pounds every single time, well, that scale is reliable. It's consistent, but it's definitely not valid. A valid scale is accurate. It measures what it's actually supposed to measure. Any good personality test has to be both. And trust me, the rigor doesn't stop there. Psychologists get super specific, drilling down into all these different kinds of validity to make sure their tools are absolutely on point. It's this intense level of detail that really separates scientific measurement from just, guessing. But, and this is a big but, even with all this science and all these tools, every single personality theory is built on a foundation of a few basic assumptions about what it even means to be human. And these underlying beliefs, they shape the entire theory. Here's one of the all-time classics. Determinism versus free will. Are we basically just a product of our past, our genes, our childhood, things beyond our control? Or are we truly the authors of our own stories, free to choose our path? Every theory falls somewhere on this spectrum, and a theorist's answer to this question changes everything. And that question of control flows right into another huge one, pessimism versus optimism. Are we humans kind of fundamentally doomed to struggle and be conflicted? Or is real change, real growth, and genuine happiness actually possible? You can often see a connection here. Theorists who lean toward determinism tend to be a bit more pessimistic, while a belief in free will often goes hand in hand with a more optimistic view of people. So, there you have it. You now have the basic theorist's toolkit, and with these ideas in your back pocket, you can start to build your own, much more informed view of what really makes people tick. The big takeaway here is that you are now officially equipped. The next time you hear someone make a big claim about human nature, you can ask the right questions. Is it falsifiable? Are their measurements reliable and valid? And what are their hidden assumptions about free will or human potential? These questions are what turn you from someone who just consumes information into someone who can think critically about it. Which, of course, leaves us with one last big question, and this one is for you. Now that you've seen how these theories get built and how they're judged, take a second and think about it. On these huge questions, free will, the potential for change, human nature, where do you stand? What's your concept of humanity?